Today I'm going to break down why I think EA Sports actually wants us to rage when we play their games, especially with the rise of Ultimate Team and all of the competitive modes such as FUT Champions. It's something that I've experienced firsthand, and if you're anything like me, you probably noticed it too, so let's get into that. So I've been playing EA Sports games ever since the PlayStation 2 era, when times were simpler, man. Back in those days, the yearly releases felt more of an optional choice. Aside from the roster updates, it was all about just playing the game for fun. Now don't get me wrong, those were still good times, but fast forward a few years, I and many of you fell into the trap of Ultimate Team. But they're very fun. I was hooked watching creators like Road to Shaw, KSI, even nowadays with 2Sync, playing the game based on my favorite sport, football or soccer you like to call it, depending on where you're watching it from. It was like the perfect mix of realism and arcade fun for everyone, and I think in the early days, like from FIFA 13 to FIFA 17, EA really nailed it with the immersive experience and also the fun aspect of opening packs, playing with your friends. But there was a problem that made Ultimate Team become addictive, and that was the issue that it was very addicting because there wasn't really a lot of competition in the football or soccer space in terms of realism and arcade experience. EA Sports have never really had critical competition. Sure, Pro Evolution Soccer in the early days on the PlayStation 2 was a big competitor, but it lacked many things like licensings or the same level of polish like we do see with a high budget title that EA can produce year by year on a basis. So EA were dominating the sports gaming industry for years, aside from like this basketball point of view where 2K has that, but even now, they're trying to make that comeback eventually, basketball games that is as well. I want to be talking about what could be going on behind the scenes, and what I and many others started to realize is that EA Sports thrives on evoking emotion from their players. They want you to rage, and in my personal opinion, ever since FIFA 17 and the introduction of FUT Champions, the gameplay has started to deteriorate over time. Slowly at first, but now with the rebrand from FIFA to EAFC, it's more apparent than ever before. EA is purposely adding game-breaking mechanics and obstacles that make it harder for experienced players to win, and it's easier for new and less skilled players to get the upper hand. And it's not just my opinion. I mean, you could go on Twitter, X, whatever you like to call it yourself, maybe look on Twitch streamers or YouTube highlights, and you'll see more people constantly talking about the new messes and glitches and game-breaking bugs that EA like to introduce with their game. Especially what I feel is that, like, if you're versing someone that is at a lesser skill level, EA messes with the in-game sliders dynamically at critical moments to infuriate you and cause even more emotion. Now, this is kind of off topic, but I've been watching the new Mr. McMahon documentary, as I've been a big WWE fan for like my whole life, and they talked about how in World Wrestling Entertainment and entertainment in general, the way that they get you is by evoking some sort of emotion. Similarly, when we watch a game of football or soccer, we love to see our players play very well, or it's pretty heartbreaking when we see them at a losing state, right? And that's what gets us hooked onto the sport. It brings us more of an emotional connection, and that's what we have with our video games as well. In specific, a game like this that we really do care about because of the sport that it is based off of, which is football, the world's game. Think about it, when you lose in a game that you should have won, it's frustrating, right? Human nature kicks in. You want to figure out what went wrong and how you're going to fix it, and that's pretty apparent in Ultimate Team for many players. So what do? You go back into Ultimate Team, you load up more FIFA points and rebuild your squad by opening those packs that in return give EA even more capital. Right? EA Sports makes their money, they get more player time, more engagement, more statistics and analytics that they can boast to get those other rewards for their games and their company themselves, and it really gets them hooked onto their platform, and all of that while capitalizing on the world's most popular sport. Here's the kicker. The game isn't even letting you rely purely on skill in these competitive game modes. there are uncontrollable factors like dynamic difficulty adjustment or broken mechanisms, live slider adjustments that can change that performance of your players at critical times. These aren't just rumors, many players have felt this and it impacts you firsthand in those modes. If you are a casual player, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but me personally, I've been playing FIFA since FIFA 13, you kind of see that happening over time. And you might be just thinking, I'm speaking out of like a nostalgic point of view that, I know that games were better back then and maybe now they're not as polished, but at the same time, you really feel it when you're playing these games. And over time, ever since FIFA 13, I've actually played more games last year in FC 24 than I ever played in any of the FIFA titles. So it goes to show I've been playing even more of FC 24 than like FIFA 23, 22, 21, etc. So I kind of see that, right? And a lot of players have been having a similar experience just like myself, right? Don't get me wrong, I still thoroughly enjoy the menu content, and EA have a very good marketing team. Their promos and how they put out the content and advertise it is spectacular. I really do love the card design, the overall feel, even though it has some issues in terms of like the menus and glitches, but all games do these days. You can't really say that EA are the only ones that have that, so you can't blame them on that point of view. But when it comes to competitive play, which I would consider division rivals and FUT champions, I'm telling you, stay away, especially if you're just trying to rely on this game for a fair and fun experience. Now let's not forget how server dependent EA are with their games itself. You're paying $80 to $100 for a new game every year, and the server issues are just ruining your matches. Especially in FC 25, if you play this game on console and you verse or come up against someone on PC and they're even half of the skill that you are, most likely they're going to win because they're going to have a more fluid game. Mind you that PC also gets updates weeks earlier than the console, so they get that competitive edge even though we're still able to verse them in online play. It makes it unfair and very frustrating for those players like myself that play on PlayStation and always have been playing on PlayStation or even Xbox to experience that cross-platform play fairly. So that's why I personally believe that EA really wants you to rage, because that emotion keeps you playing, spending, and staying invested with their EA Sports ecosystem. I didn't want to make this video too lengthy, especially nowadays. I know the watch time it gets pretty bad if I'm making more than 20 minutes or so, but be sure to check out my other videos and let me know your personal thoughts in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to like, and also if you would like, be sure to subscribe, because 99% of people watching this channel have not subscribed, so I'd really appreciate if you can do that. But that's been it. It's been your boy Optage, and I will catch you guys all in my next video. Goodbye.